Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everybody to this pep talk this afternoon. Please mute yourself, but always show your video picture. Sign in your name, your Facebook account, or email address in the chat box. Please include the names of companions attending with you. Use the chat box to ask questions and make comments while the pep talk is on. There will be group pictures at the start and end of the pep talk, so please show your faces in the video. A reminder is that after the pep talk, take the online learning evaluation test exercise or OLETE for mastery of learning and have a perfect score to get a certificate like the one shown here. I have placed the link in the chat box. Another reminder, obtaining 25 OLETE certificates by getting a perfect score. One entitled One Mentee to a Mentee to a voucher for a RO Hoson medical consultation, either face-to-face or telemedical. Another request, please type in your feedback in the chat box during the open forum and before we adjourn. Thank you. Let's now have a group picture taking before we start the pep talk proper in 2 minutes. Please show your faces now. Ready? One, two, three. I have a patient empowerment program in which I like to empower the lay people or patients to take control in the management of their health. I started the pep talk on May 15, 2021 during the COVID-19 pandemic. There are 3 courses in the pep talk. I completed the core course on October 9, 2021. Then from October 23, 2021 onwards, I've been tackling health disorder and health issue courses. We're now on our 165th pep talk. May 18, 2024 marks the start of year 4 of the RO Hoson pep talk. How long the pep talk will last will depend on our enthusiasm, discipline, and perseverance. My pep talk today is entitled Medical Anecdotal Report, Miss Breast Mass on Ultrasound, found by a breast surgeon. The empowerment objective is to have an essential understanding on this particular event as part of your health management. The contents will be the following. What is an anecdotal report? I'll just give you a short definition, and then this will be followed by narration, and then insight and reflection. So the title of the MAR, Medical Anecdotal Report, will be Miss Breast Mass on Ultrasound found by a breast surgeon. Okay, the reporter is yours truly, and date of medical observation 2024 this year. Disclaimer, the RO Hoson pep talk contains the RO Hoson's thoughts, perceptions, opinions, and recommendations, or TPORs, culled from personal experiences of Dr. Hoson and other health professionals. So the gist of this MAR will be the following. A 43-year-old Filipina with a history of a screening ultrasound. Screening means she has no symptoms. She just went for a so-called executive checkup or checkup. No, no symptoms, but she wants to have a ultrasound done. Okay. I think including a mammo. Okay. So a screening ultrasound and mammo of the breast ordered by her obstetrics gynecologist, and then consulted a breast surgeon, which is me, for validation of the findings. A 2 cm dominant left breast mass was found by the breast specialist, but which was not noted on the ultrasound. A needle aspiration was done by the breast specialist and 5 cc of clear serous fluid was obtained. Serous, the color of serous would be a little whitish, watery, and sometimes yellow. So some reflections and learning points that will be discussed here. Can ultrasound miss palpable dominant mass? Can the breast surgeon specialist be more accurate in evaluating the breast through a physical exam than an ultrasonographer through an ultrasound? Then I'll be giving some tips on the management of similar situations. So let's start with the short definition of MAR. A MAR, or medical anecdotal report, is operationally defined by myself, by me, by yours truly, as a brief written report on an actual medical event, actual, talagang nangyari, no? That involves an actual patient, real patient. This medical observation must have an impact on the reporter, which is me, in terms of insight gain, and which the reporter or I think is worth sharing with other people, especially for learning purposes. So after the seeing this patient, I have some reflection. Then I think I realized that there could be something that I can share with you, and then you can learn from it, or all of us will learn from it. So the MAR will have two parts. First, the narration of the patient, the event, and then the insight or reflection, my insight or reflections. So let's start with the narration. So this is an actual patient. I had a patient by the initials of Molo, a 43-year-old female who on August 6, 2024, consulted me on a face-to-face basis for breast physical examination to validate her ultrasound findings done in July 18, 2024, so less than 3 weeks before the date of consultation, which was August 6. She had a screening ultrasound prescribed by her obstetrics gynecologist before coming to see me. Initially, she just wanted me to interpret the ultrasound to her online, the usual things that patients do. Once they have that ultrasound or laboratory test, they want the doctors to interpret the results for them. Her ultrasound report showed multiple small, when you say small, less than 1 centimeter, then hypoechoic, solid masses, and cystic masses in both breasts. So this is the report given by the ultrasonographer. And the assessment of the ultrasonographer was BI-RADS 3, which is equivalent to probably benign. If it's BI-RADS 4, that means suspicious for cancer, but this is BI-RADS 3, probably benign. I told her if she just wanted an interpretation of the ultrasound report, above the report of the ultrasonographer will be my same interpretation, and it will be probably benign as being assessed by the ultrasonographer. But when they say probably benign, there's still a chance of being malignant because of the word probably. So she wanted me to interpret it. So I said, okay, if you really want me to interpret it, my interpretation will be the same because I have not examined you. I told her that if she wanted to have a more certain diagnosis of the status of her breast, particularly the various masses seen on ultrasound, she should have a physical examination done by a breast specialist surgeon. Physical exam essentially consists of palpation. So my usual practice is not just to give in to the request of patients asking for interpretation of ultrasound of the breast results. I get a lot of these requests after having an ultrasound done, especially ordered by other people, by other doctors. They just want me to interpret. Okay? So I usually recommend no, that I cannot just give in to the request of just interpreting the results based on the report, but I require a physical examination of the breast done by me, okay, before I can make any conclusive diagnosis on the status of her breast. So if I just follow the ultrasound report, I'll tell her, okay, that's interpretation of the ultrasonographer. It's benign, but it may not be the correct diagnosis. So I usually recommend a physical examination. So as a breast specialist surgeon, I offered her my service to do the physical examination, to which she agreed. I told her the advantages of my doing the physical examination on her. I could validate the findings and assessment of the ultrasonographer, and I could give her more detailed and easy to understand explanations on the status of her breast, which is usually not given by the ultrasonographer or any other physicians. So I promised her that I will give her more detailed and easy to understand explanations if she comes for a physical examination to be done by me. So she agreed to my proposal. Thus, she came to my clinic on August 6th. So that's less than 3 weeks after her ultrasound for a face-to-face consultation for me to do the physical examination on her breast. So this is the evidence of her consultation with me, August 6, 2024. So she came, her concern was for her breast check, and then she had the screening mammo. Actually, it's not only ultrasound, she also had the mammo, which showed the BI-RADS 3. And then these are my physical examination findings. There was a milky discharge, okay? Her last feeding was 1 year ago. And then there was this dominant mass, which I discovered, 2 centimeters, well-defined, not hard. Okay? It feels cystic, most likely, when I say cystic, most likely it contains fluid, and it's not fixed, it's movable. So my impression was that it was benign. Okay, so most likely because of her continuing milky discharge in the nipple, I said it might be a collection of milk. Okay, I will discuss the other things here later on. So when I palpated her breast, I found a dominant mass on her left breast at 5 o'clock position. So this is the 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, then 6 o'clock, then 5 o'clock. About 2 centimeters in size, with well-defined border and not hard. It felt cystic. As I said, when you say cystic, it most likely contains fluid and movable and not fixed. So this mass that I found on my palpation was not reported by the ultrasonographer. So what were reported were just the small sub-centimeter. When you say sub-centimeter, it's less than 1 centimeter. Let's say 2 millimeters, 3 millimeters, okay? Hypoechoic and cystic masses behind the areola. Behind the areola, that means it's on the center of the breast, not on the 5 o'clock position. So which I considered as fibrocystic changes or normal hormonal changes. So the ones reported by the ultrasonographer as masses, I consider them as fibrocystic changes. Good. So this is the report of the ultrasound. Hypoechoic masses, retroareolar. That means just behind the nipple areola. Okay. So then measurement is 2.2 to 6.7. So this is sub-centimeter, which usually cannot be palpated. Okay. And then on the, there are also cysts present. Okay. When you say hypoechoic mass, usually it connotes solid masses. Cyst means it contains fluid. Again, there are cystic, simple cysts and the retroareola. Okay. Also, sub-centimeter, 2.4 to 9.3, so less than 1 centimeter. Okay. So this is on the left breast, but there are also masses on the right breast which are not palpable. So the assessment of the radiologist or ultrasonographer is it's BI-RADS 3, probably benign. But if I were to examine this patient, my conclusion, my diagnosis will be fibrocystic changes, or I'll just would add the word probably fibrocystic changes, or most likely fibrocystic changes. So when I found the mass which was not reported in the ultrasound, I started to wonder why it was not reported. I started asking myself, could I be wrong in my palpation? Baka mali ako. Could the dominant mass that I found just normal breast tissues or part of the hormonal changes that it did not appear as a mass? Did the ultrasonographer miss the mass that I palpated to be present? So these are the questions that I was asking myself when I found the mass. I decided to repeat my palpation of the patient's left breast several times until I was convinced there was really a dominant mass, which was not reported on the ultrasound. I asked the patient to palpate it also. She agreed to the presence of the mass. She admitted she did not know it also, okay, that she had it until that day, the day of the face-to-face consultation, when I pointed it out to her. Hindi rin niya alam na meron siya. Okay? So convinced that there was really a dominant mass on the left breast, which was not reported on ultrasound, I was now left with two questions. So, ni-repeat ko na. So, probably, sabi ko, hindi naman ako mali doon sa palpation ko. No? Okay. So, ito na lang natitira. Could the dominant mass that I found just normal breast tissues or part of the hormonal changes that it did not appear as a abnormal mass? Baka yung mga hormonal changes lang yun. Okay? So, did the ultrasound really miss the mass that I palpated to be present? Okay? Only time will tell what, when I will get the correct answer to these last questions. Being professional, I gave the ultrasonographer the benefit of the doubt, telling myself, most likely the mass was not missed by the ultrasonographer. So sabi ko, ay, baka ano lang yan, hormonal changes lang siya. No, it was not missed. No? So giving the ultrasonographer the benefit of the doubt, I just considered the dominant mass that I found to be normal breast tissue or part of the hormonal changes that did not appear as a mass on the ultrasound. So thus I formulated my primary diagnosis as such. It's a fibrocystic changes with changes related to pregnancy, as she still have some small amount of milk, okay, left milky nipple discharge even after 1 year of post-breastfeeding. So ito yung sinulat ko sa chart ko, fibrocystic changes, changes related to pregnancy, most likely to the breastfeeding. I told her I was 98% sure. I told the patient that I was 98% certain of my diagnosis, that it was benign and not cancer, just to allay her fear, because pag may nakapa ng bukol, natatakot na ang mga pasyente, no? Or anybody for that matter will be anxious. Bakit may bukol? Ano kaya ito? So the question now is, what to do with the dominant mass that I was able to palpate? Anong gagawin natin ngayon? So I gave her two options. One is to observe, i-monitor lang. Kasi sabi ko, baka hormonal changes lang, baka mawala siya. No? And then number two, needle aspiration. So she chose option number one, observation and monitoring, to which I agreed. I agreed because 98% sure ako na hormonal changes lang ito. It's not cancer. Okay. Pwede pang i-observe lang, baka mawala siya. Baka pag nawala na yung milky, yung milky nipple discharge niya, yung mga gatas, pag nawala na, baka mawala na rin yung bukol. No? After a month after, September 3, 2020, this is 2024. This should be 2024. She came for follow-up. The dominant mass was still there with no increase or decrease in size and without any associated symptoms like pain. So at this time, I gave her three options with explanations on the pros and cons. Number one, observe further because I'm thinking, but the mass might disappear spontaneously if it's part of the hormonal changes. Okay. But the only disadvantage here, there'll be a long wait and watch and wait time. Mahaba, hindi mo malaman kung kailan mo mawala. No? So the number two option will be to repeat the ultrasound. Okay? So to validate the previous ultrasound, to recheck kung tama o kung tama yung previous ultrasound na walang report na bukol in that area. The third option was to do a needle evaluation with aspiration. The advantage here, it can provide a quick answer to the diagnostic questions. And if the mass is cystic, talagang may fluid, it will disappear. No? Parang therapeutic na rin siya. Parang treatment. Pag inaspirate, wala yung bukol, so tapos, usually tapos na. Okay? So, first option, observe further, repeat ultrasound, needle evaluation. So the patient decided to have the third option, which is needle evaluation with aspiration. So we aspirated it. Now we put in a syringe and the needle there. And then you can see that there are fluid coming out, yellowish. Okay. So the mass was really cystic. Okay. So because it contains fluid, okay, there was 5 cc of clear serous yellowish fluid was aspirated. And then there was complete disappearance of the mass thereafter. So with that, with these findings, my diagnosis now shifted to macro-cyst, left breast. It's actually part of your fibrocystic changes in which the cystic part becomes bigger than usual. Usually when you say fibrocystic changes, the cystic component usually less than 1 centimeter lang yon, no? Okay, maliliit lang yon. But when the cystic component becomes palpable, then we call that macro cyst, macro, malaki, malaking cyst. Okay. So my diagnosis at this time was already macro cyst, left breast. When you say macro cyst, it's part of the hormonal changes, fibrocystic changes. It's not cancer. It's not cancer. So the patient was extremely happy with our shared decision to have the needle evaluation cum aspiration done. And of course, he was also happy with the diagnosis of macrocyst and the disappearance of the mass. So that's the end of my narration. But okay, let me go back to the summary of the MAR. A 43-year-old Filipina with history of a screening ultrasound of the breast ordered by her OB/GYN and then consulted a breast surgeon for validation of findings. A 2-centimeter dominant left breast mass was found by the breast specialist, but which was not noted on ultrasound. A needle aspiration was done by the breast specialist, and a 5 cc of clear serous fluid was obtained. So this will be the reflection and learning points and issues that I will be discussing. So the first issue will be, can ultrasound miss palpable dominant mass? The answer is yes, as illustrated in this MAR. So this is an actual case. It actually happened. It's documented. Why the 2-centimeter dominant mass was missed, I don't have the answer. It may be due to an ultrasound machine factor, which is less likely, I think. Most of the ultrasound are top of the line na. Usually magaganda na, no? And it may also be due to the ultrasonographer factor, but at this time I cannot answer definitely which is which. Okay. Now the second question: can the breast surgeon specialist be more accurate in evaluating the breast through a physical examination than an ultrasound through ultrasonographer through an ultrasound? So this question is being asked because a lot of times the mindset of mga patients, even doctors, the mindset is that yung mga machines are better than the hands, the kamay of the physicians. No, yan ang usual mindset. Diba? So we're now asking this question, can the breast surgeon specialist be more accurate in evaluating the breast through a physical examination by palpation than an ultrasonographer using a machine? So the answer here is, again, yes, at times. Okay, I won't say all the time, at times. Okay, not all the times, as illustrated in this medical anecdotal report. Okay, so this was illustrated here na na-miss ng ultrasonographer, nakapa ng surgeon. So mas accurate siya. Okay, so that's why I said yes, but I wouldn't say all the times, no? Kung minsan may mga limitations din yung mga surgeon. Okay? So what are my tips in the management of cases like this? So all patients with ultrasound reports should see a breast specialist surgeon for validation of the ultrasound findings, if only to ensure accuracy of the ultrasound diagnosis and for the surgeon to explain fully the ultrasound findings and status of the breast. So, kailangan magpatingin ng pasyente na may ultrasound reports sa isang breast specialist surgeon. Breast specialist, surgeon. Kasi surgeon kumakapa. No? Okay. For validation. Okay. Ang advantage nito, yung pag nakapa ng surgeon, they will say, kung talagang tama yung ultrasound. Okay? O may duda. And then, the surgeon will give more explanation on the ultrasound findings, which is usually, as I said, usually not given by the physicians, no? By the ultrasonographer, even by the other physicians, no? Yung mga, especially the non-surgeon physicians. No? Number 2 tip will be all breast specialist surgeons should refrain from giving a conclusive diagnosis just based on ultrasound report without personally doing a physical examination. So this is actually advice to the surgeons. They should refrain. They should not give conclusive diagnosis just because may online consultation, pakita nga yung report, paki-interpret lang. So hindi gagawin ng physical examination. Okay. So dapat yung surgeon should palpate the breast of the patient before giving a final conclusion on the diagnosis, okay, especially those given by the ultrasonographers. So this is the advice, actually advice for the surgeon, but at the same time, this is advice to the patients also. So kasi a lot of patients has been pupunta sa mga physicians online o kaya telephone, pakibasa nga ito, okay? Basahin lang ho ninyo baka kung may problema, no? So ang ina-assume nila hindi sila kakapain ng surgeon, no? I-interpret lang yung results, no? Okay. So I advise you not to do that, no? When you have an ultrasound report, no, to have a more accurate conclusion, ask the breast surgeon to do the palpation, no, bago magbigay ng final decision on the diagnosis. No? There is always a caveat statement at the bottom of the ultrasound report for the patients to see their physician, for correlation of the ultrasound findings with those of the physical examination and other data. So if those who have experience with ultrasound reports, makikita nyo may isang statement on at the bottom of the report. Ito yun, no? So mas maganda yung results will be explained by the clinicians, no? So there's also an advice by the ultrasonographer for the clinician to be the one to explain to the patients the ultrasound report. No? And then they will also say the diagnosis is based on objective findings on ultrasound, but it has to be correlated with the physical examination findings. So these are the usual caveat statements of the ultrasonographer. A personal recommendation to the ultrasonographer from me is for them to do the breast palpation before doing an ultrasound of the breast as an initial guide and to lessen the chance of misfindings. Pag kung nakapanya yung bukol, most likely hindi na niya mamignis yun. So, uh, ipapasa, ilalagay na yung probe, yung ultrasound probe over the mass at pag-aaralan yung bukol, kung ano klaseng bukol talaga yun. No? Okay. So, if, from my experience, a lot of ultrasonographers, they don't palpate, they just do diretso na yung mga machines probe ilalagay na sa breast. No? So my recommendation is for the ultrasonographers to first do the palpation before doing the examination by using the machine. I think that's the last slide. Okay. Summary and takeaway, I have presented a MAR entitled Miss Breast Mass on Ultrasound found by a breast surgeon. And then the gist of the MAR, again, a 43-year-old female with a history of screening ultrasound, and then a 2-centimeter dominant left breast mass was found by the breast specialist, but which was not noted on ultrasound. A needle aspiration was done by breast specialist and 5 cc of clear serous fluid was obtained. So showing that this is really a case of a missed breast mass on ultrasound found by the breast surgeon. I have given some of my thoughts on these learning points and issues. Can ultrasound miss a palpable dominant mass? The answer is yes. Can a breast surgeon be more accurate in evaluating the breast through a physical examination than an ultrasonographer through an ultrasound? Yes, and not all the time. Okay. And then I have given you some tips on management of similar situations. So takeaway in relation to patient empowerment, be always in touch with reliable medical information on missed breast mass on ultrasound. Knowledge is power. It gives power. Use the 4 Ks of patient empowerment, kaalaman, kakayanan, karapatan, and kapangyarihan to gain greater control over decisions and make better decisions on the management of missed breast mass on ultrasound as part of your health management. So this ends my pep talk today. Medical anecdotal report. I hope I have enlightened you and to have more better understanding on how to deal or how to prevent, how to avoid missed breast mass ultrasound found by missed by the ultrasound, and which could be corrected by the breast surgeon. Before we go to the QA portion, reminder, please take the online learning from evaluation test exercise for mastery of learning and have a perfect score to get a certificate like this. I have placed the link in the chat box. And then obtaining 25 OLETE certificates will entitle one mentee to a voucher for a RO Hoson medical consultation, either face-to-face or telemedical. And then requests, please type in your feedback in the chat box before the open forum, during the open forum, and before we adjourn. Thank you. Let's now have a group picture taking before we start the QA and interactions. Okay. Good. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. So the floor is now open for questions, comments, suggestions, consultations. Yan ang pinakamaganda. Consultations, free consultations. Okay, a short, brief consultations. Any questions? Who have experience of a similar situation in the past? Meron? Wala. Questions?
Doc, ako may question.
Susan, sige. Go.
Okay.
Susan.
Though I came to you on a different diba, stage na ako, I had my ultrasound before the physical exam that you made on me, di po ba? Meron muna akong result ng ultrasound.
Okay.
Saka mo ako tinignan. Okay. So parang from the lectures I heard now, isa sa mga tip mo is to go first kung meron kaming makakapa, diba, to see a breast specialist to do a physical exam on us, and then it is from you that we will be it's your parang request mo if we have to go to ultrasound or mammogram, di po ba? So
Yeah.
sa akin naman po, ang question ko is, parang on my case, it was so small that even I, although I'm not really a pro in palpation, di po ba? So I didn't know if I did not, I'm just not a professional na makapa ko siya, and you are more professional to me that you noticed it, di ba, nung physical exam mo ko. So ang question is, yung size po niya, if to anyone na magkakaroon ng mass, what is the of yung size niya na pinakamaliit na nakakapa siya pag physical exam? Kasi kung maliit po ba na nakakapa yun, or sa ultrasound lang siya nakikita?
Okay. Okay, let me answer yung main question mo, yung size, no?
Apo.
I will explain the other assumptions that you made, no? Okay. So yung size, usually as a rule, general rule, pag 1 centimeter, no, in size, usually nakakapa na, usually, no? But there are two factors that will determine kung makakapa o hindi, no? Okay, or three factors, no? Okay. Number one, kung tawag doon. If it's less than 1 centimeter, hindi makakapa, no? Okay, mahirap kapain, no? Pero kung may 1 centimeter, usually nakakapa. Pero kung minsan, nami-miss pa rin, no? Okay. So may mga factors that will determine the accuracy of the palpation. Number one is ganong kataba, ganong kapayat yung pasyente, no? Okay. Kung mas mapayat yung pasyente, no? Okay. Usually kahit na less than 1 centimeter, let's say 0.5, no? Makakapa yun, no? Okay? Pwede, no?
Yes, sir.
The other factor is from yung malaking breast o taba, no? Is the depth of tumor. Kung gaano kalalim yung tumor, no? Kung mababaw lang siya on the surface, madali kapain. Kahit na 0.5 centimeter, pwedeng makapa, no? Okay. Number three factors, of course, will be yung gaano kagaling kumapa yung doktor, di ba? Okay. So, yung as we all know, I'm trying to make an assumption, no? So correct me if I am wrong. Kayo yung andito ngayon, no? We know that not all doctors are making kapa, no? Okay, kahit na merong training, kahit na yung mga GP, no? Kahit na mga specialist, dapat merong basic training on palpation, di ba? Okay. Pero hindi lahat kumakapa, no? Especially yung mga hindi na linya nila, no? So, example will be yung mga treating, even those treating breast cancer patients, let's say medical onco, surgical onco, radiation oncologist, no? Ganon, no? So, ang usually yung kumakapa, breast onco, surgical onco, no? Okay, yung medical onco, usually hindi sila kumakapa, and radiation oncologist, hindi rin sila kumakapa, no? Okay.
Yes.
Which ideally they should be doing, no? Because that's part of the comprehensive management, no? Okay. So, So, yun, yung tatlong factors na yun. One is once, as a rules, 1 centimeter, pwedeng lumiit siya. No? Let's say 0.5, pwede pang kapain. Kung mapayat-payat ng pasyente, mababaw yung nasa surface yung bukol, yung cancer. No?
Opo.
Okay? And then, magaling yung surgeon. No? So, yung kamay niya sensitive. No? Kasi biro lang ito, pag na-stroke yung isang surgeon, no, baka most likely yung dating niyang skills, sana hindi mangyari sa akin. Sa ngayon, palagay ko kaya ko pang kapain mga maliliit. Pero the moment I get a stroke or a parang nerve disease, no, that will decrease the sensitivity of my fingers, no, hihina yung bababa ang accuracy ko. No? But at that point, sasabihin ko kagad I will declare that I will retire from palpating already. Na, okay, I'll be the one to declare it. Na, but in fairness to the patient, di ba? Okay. Pag tumatanda, habang tumatanda, meron kang mga neuropathy na di ba? Mga nerve diseases na, no? So that will decrease the accuracy of the palpation, no? Okay.
Yes, sir.
And then okay. Okay na yung sagot ko doon sa size mo?
Opo.
So yung assumption mo kanina, yung which should come first, di ba? Or just
Opo.
sound, mamo. In the past I've been lecturing, number one, ang sequence ay ganon, ideal, ha? One is, first you do your breast self-exam sa patient, no? Then after that, you consult a breast specialist for a clinical exam, meaning palpation. Then after that, diagnostic test kung kailangan. No? Ang pinaka-minimum will be the patient, breast self-exam, and then the doctor. No? Yung sa patient, dapat monthly. No?
Opo.
And then sa doctor, pwedeng kung check-up lang, kahit na once a year. Na? Okay? Once a year ang check-up. Na? Then,
Yes.
yung kung gagawa ng ultrasound, mammo, no? It all depends on the findings of the doctor, of the clinician.
Yes.
Kung meron siyang findings, no? Na may suspetsa, baka merong bukol, may ganon, then that's the time they do the either mammo or ultrasound or both, no? Okay?
Yes.
Or the other indications for doing the lab exams kung meron kang high risk for breast cancer. Okay? Kung may high risk ka for breast cancer, usually you want to catch it early, di ba? Catch it early. So usually when you catch it early, you want to do mammography, di ba? Kasi when you say early, yung the stage na hindi pa nakakapa, di ba? Okay, so mammography is still the better choice for discovering, detecting yung mga cancer na less than 1 millimeter, ganon. Kasi mga tuldik-tuldik lang, no? Okay.
Opo.
So, ganon, no? So, but yun ang ideal sequence, no? Okay. Pero we know in this world, in the Philippines, kokonti yung gumagawa ng monthly breast self-exam. Kokonti yung gumagawa ng physical examination by the doctor. Kadalasan, diretso na sa mammo ultrasound. Di ba? Diretso, di ba? Okay. So, yeah. So, pag dumiretso, may advantages, may disadvantages. Yung sa'yo, nagkaroon ng advantage kasi na-discover, di ba?
Okay.
But you're fortunate na, in a way, you're fortunate is positive.
Yes.
Diba?
Yes.
Eh kung negative siya, di marami kang dinaanan ng sakyan yan, no? Okay. So false negative, magkaroon pa mga false alarm, gano'n, no? Okay. So in a way, maswerte ka, di ba? Okay. So that's why sabi ko nga na ideally, dapat ito yung sequence. Breast self-exam, then clinical exam by the doctor, and then yung mga laboratory diagnostic exam like mammo, ultrasound as needed. Na? Okay.
Yes po.
So we don't we have to admit that we won't be able to win them all, no? Ibig sabihin kahit na itong sequence ang gamitin mo, kung minsan hindi nahuhuli yung breast cancer early enough, no? Okay? And then if you don't do the sequence naman, as I said, ikaw natsambahan mo, maswerte ka, pero yung iba naman, baka mamimiss may mga false negative din yon, di ba? False negative, no? Tapos paulit, may false alarm, no? And then, kakaroon ng meron mga pasyente na nagpapamamo for every year until 2 years, nalaktawan lang yung 2 years, biglang ganun nakalaki, no? More than 1 centimeter na, meron din kanon, no? Okay. So that's why sabi ko, it's very important to do breast self-examination, which you can monitor monthly, di ba? Kaysa maghihintay ka ng yung yearly na breast specialist exam or yearly na mammo, yearly na kasi between let's say kung nag-yearly ka ng mammo, ultrasound, kung lumabas yung bukol mo 1 month after negative yung ultrasound mo. So maghihintay ka ng 11 months bago mo mapagawa yung next one. So madi-delay na yon, no? Okay? Nasagot ko ang tanong mo?
Yes po, Doc. Okay. Loud and clear.
Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome. Any more? Any more questions? Wala na? So tandaan na lang ninyo, nothing is 100% accurate, nothing is perfect, no? So importante, be vigilant lang tayo, no? As to those yung mga errors, no, na nangyayari, no? Yung importante yung follow-up, check-up, follow-up, no? Okay. So yung sa pasyente, do monthly para kung na-miss mo this month, may bukol, next month, pag ginagawa mo yung breast self-examination on a monthly basis, makakatch mo na, mahuhuli mo na kagad. Na? Okay. Ganun din sa doctor, that's a breast specialist. That's why I don't usually tell you na huwag ka na bumalik sa akin. Yeah. So usually sinasabi ko, dapat may check-up, no? Para kung may na-miss tayo nito sa ngayon, not really miss. Sa ngayon, wala talagang, hindi pa lumalabas, no? But after 2 months, 3 months, lumabas, no? Wala nang sisihan, di ba? So kung lumabas after 3 months at bumalik ka, mahuhuli natin, no? Okay. Kung di ka bumalik ng 3 months, let's say 1 year after, ayun, malaki na, wala na, nahuli na, no? Ganun, no? So importante yung follow-up. Follow-up is the way to ensure that kung ano mang na-miss during the initial consults, mahuhuli ka agad. Ha? Okay. Okay. Any questions? I'm welcoming Catherine Espero. Espero, bumalik ka na. Kumusta na, Catherine?
Okay lang, Dok. Na-busy lang sa racket.
May tanong ka, Catherine?
Wala naman po.
Okay. Breast ngayon, pero yung sa'yo sa thyroid, next month, next week, thyroid na naman. Sige.
Okay po.
Okay. Belet, welcome back, Belet. Belet? Welcome back. Any questions? Unmute yourself.
Doc, wala naman nung question. Maliwanag po ang inyong explanation.
Okay. Okay. Meron kayong naririnig mga patient na kwento na nami-miss na cancer? Meron kayong naririnig? Ito kasi benign nito no? Walang masyadong problema. Pero din may mga nami-miss na breast cancer kahit na nagpapa-ultrasound siya, mammo, no? Then, in fact, I have one, hindi lang siya nag-attend today. In fact, I have one who was having mammo every year. And then, nung the pandemic, na-miss lang niya 1 year. no? And then nagpa-ultrasound siya, si mamo, ultrasound, si Dabin benign, wala, no? And then after bumalik siya after 1 year, less than one, and after 9 months, no, nakapa niya, no? Okay, without waiting for the next year na ultrasound. Ayun, ang laki-laki na, advanced na, no? So we were trying to analyze bakit hindi nakita, no? Kasi by the time that she saw me, malaking-malaki na yung bukol, no? Yeah, sabi ko, ano ba nangyari dun sa unang, kasi yearly ka naman nagpapamamo, bakit na-miss yon, di ba? So pwede mangyari yon, na? Okay. So that's why importante yung number one, regular examination by yourself and by the doctor, and if need be, ultrasound, mammo kung kailangan, and then always be vigilant against yung mga mali, yung mga errors, yung mga misdiagnosis, no? Okay. Okay.
Dr. Ray, may tanong po ako.
Yeah, sure.
Ah,
Jeng.
Doc, kasi kayo, ginagawa niyo po sa amin yung magkapa sa breast namin kung may bukol or wala. Lahat ba po kayong ng doktor, ganun yung process ng ginagawa? Kasi Doc, di ba, bago niyo ako maging pasyente, may recent akong dalawang naging doktor na hindi nila naman yun ginawa sa akin. Then, na in-ultrasound lang nila ako na may nakitang bukol. Then, ang kasunod na agad, operation. Hindi ko na matandaan kung anong size ang bukol ko. Basta, ang alam ko, the next na ginawa nila, pagkakita nila ng findings ng ultrasound, operation na agad yung sinabi sa akin na gagawin. Bakit po, yun po yung tanong ko, hindi ba po talaga lahat ng doktor ginagawa yung kapain muna ang bukol namin para masabi na tingnan, katulad ng ginagawa po ninyo na mag-ano muna tayo na titingnan natin kung sa loob ng isang buwan kung siya gano'n pa rin ang size or hindi, o kung mas lumaki na, mas talagang kailangan ng operahin para mawala na yung bukol.
Okay, ang tanong mo, yung kapa ng doktor, hindi siya.
Opo, kung lahat po kayo yun po yung ginagawa ninyo or hindi po talaga lahat kayo ganun.
Okay. The answer is clear, no? Na kaya ako nagpe-pep talk na lang kasi mahirap turuan yung mga doktor. So, para to help you, no? Okay. So, ideally, dapat yung mga doktor, kasi part of their training is to do yung pinaka-basic na palpation, no? Okay. So, wala namang sinasabi na sa medicine, sa pagtuturo ng medicine, huwag kayo magkumapa, no? So, bago maging doktor yan, no? So, natuto nilang kumapa, no? Although not very expertly, no? Pero dapat kumakapa, no? But as we know, nowadays, yung maraming doktor dyan, hindi na kumakapa, no? Okay,
Yes, Doc.
basta kung anong laboratory, ilalab test na lang kayo, and then pag dumating yung lab test, titingnan yung lab test without, hindi kayo kakapain to check kung tama o hindi, na? Okay.
Yes po.
So, yan ang katayuan ngayon, no? Maraming hindi nagkumakapa, na? Okay. So, sa inyo, anong palagay ninyo? Dapat ba kapain kayo o hindi? O mag-rely na lang sa CT scan, ultrasound, gano'n.
Siyempre po,
Dapat
mas maganda
kapain.
po yung ginagawa.
Kapa.
Yes.
Opo, pero dapat yung magkakapa, yung talagang may pulso, Doc, di ba?
Oh.
Yung may pulse, ibig sabihin baka naman nagkapa siya pero hindi naman siya ganun kahusay, parang wala din, di ba? So dapat yung meron ding magic, yung parang kayo, yung may sensitivity, sabi niyo nga po.
Okay.
Kahit maliit, ma-detect niya.
Anong solusyon nito?
Kaya nga,
we
Doc,
have to-
kasi katulad ko nun, pagkatapos akong operahan, wala na, pagka isang follow-up check-up, wala na. Hindi po katulad din na talagang mag-aano tayo ng after 3 months or 6 months para magtuloy-tuloy yung ano natin hanggang sa tumagal na nga po tayo ako sa inyo na 12 years. Yung dati kong doktor, as in pagkatapos po, wala na. Wala po man lang sinabi na, o kaya sa isang taon, magkita tayo para ma-check ka kung bang yung bukol mo ibabalik o hindi. Syempre, mas gusto po namin na pagka-opera, wala nang sumunod. Kaso nga po, sa kaso ko, after nung first operation ko, nasundan ng after 9 years, tapos both breast ko pa ang na-opera. Ganun po.
Okay. So yung, di ba alam natin na nothing is certain in life, no? Pag kahit na nagamot ka na, no? Kada, especially yung mga cancer, pwedeng umulit, di ba? So importante, yung mga bukol-bukol, pwedeng umulit, no? So importante yung check up, no? Okay, follow up, no? Okay.
Yes.
Yung mga bukol sa katawan, up to now, we don't know the exact cause. Bakit nagkakabukol, whether cancer or not, no? We don't know the exact cause, no? So, parang si Willie Ong, bakit siya nagka-cancer? Di ba? So, nobody knows.
Stress daw, Doc, sabi niya.
Ha?
Sa stress daw, sa kakabash daw. Sabi niya, di ba? Sa interview, sa
Okay.
live niya.
Hindi lang stress yun. Meron siya, baka meron siyang exposure sa mga environment, no? O kaya meron siyang tawag na genetic na may nasira yung gene niya, nagkaroon ng cancer, hindi lang natin nakikita, no? Okay, kaya that's why yung palaging nakikita mo sa internet, we don't know the actual cause, the exact cause of practically all the tumors that we know of, no? Okay. So the only exceptions is parang let's say kung dahil sa virus, no, pwede. Virus sometimes can cause cancer, no? Okay. So na-identify yon. Pero other than virus, no, usually we don't know the exact cause. It could be genetic, it could be environment, it could be self-induced. When you say self-induced, no, na talagang alam mo masama magsigarilyo at nagsisigarilyo ka pa rin. O, ikaw naghamon ng sakit ng cancer, di ba? Ganon, no? Okay. So we don't know the exact cause. Ang ginagawa lang naman ng mga gamutan ngayon, to tell you honestly, no, yan ang sinasabi ko rin, yung mga operasyon, no, gamutan sa cancer, very common yon, di ba? Okay. So far, surgery pa rin ang for mga solid tumors, wag lang yung blood cancer, no? Usually surgery is still the best, no? Better choice, no? Majority, hindi lahat, no? Okay. And then chemotherapy, radiotherapy. So anong ginagawa nito yung mga gamutan nito, no? Sabi natin si Willie Ong, no? Pag sinabi mong cut, pag sinabi mong stress, kung tanggalin yung stress, liliit yung cancer niya.
Di ako sure. Pwede rin, Doc, kasi may peace of mind na siya.
Pero malaki na di ba? Kung maliit lang sana, baka pwede, no? Okay. So, kung talagang stress, tanggalin lang yung stress. So, dapat you treating the cause, no? Kung talaga kung stress talaga ang cause, no? Okay. And then, yung sa operasyon, when you operate, you just remove the cancer, no? Okay. So those who have undergone the operation, Susan, Phoebe, Laurier, Katkat, Belet, no? Mayan, okay? Ang ginawa lang operasyon, tinanggal lang yung cancer niyo after that, with the hope na hindi siya magre-recur. Okay? So, the operation is not treating the cause. Kasi hindi natin alam yung cause eh. Di ba? We don't know the exact cause. It's somewhere there na malabo, no? Kung ano, no? But yung operasyon na ito is not treating the cause. Ang operasyon is tinanggal lang yung cancer mo. Okay? Hoping na hindi siya uulit. Okay? At hoping na matanggal lahat. Okay? Kasi yung mga advanced na kaya yung ibang surgeon ayaw operahan kasi kahit na anong gawin mo, uulit ang uulit. Diba? Kasi hindi matatanggal lahat. No? Okay? Kung maliit pa lang at matanggal lahat, malaking chance na hindi siya uulit. Okay? But there's always a possibility of recurrence. Na? Kasi andyan pa rin ang cause somewhere eh. Okay? Okay. Example, yung sa breast, yung na-operahan sa one side, sa breast, let's say left side, na? So we don't know the exact cause, pero nangyari yon. So tinanggal yung right breast mo, left, sabihin natin right breast tinanggal. So there's a possibility that the left breast pwedeng tamaan din, di ba? Kasi andyan pa rin ang cause, di ba? Okay. Okay. But we just hope it will not, di ba? Yan na lang pag-asa, yung ano lang, hope na lang na hindi siya uulit, na? Yan lang, babantayan mo. Babantayan mo, kaya importante yung follow-up, na? Okay? Ganon. Yung chemotherapy, ganun din. Anong ginagawa ng chemotherapy? It's not treating the cause. Yung hormonal therapy, it's not really treating the exact cause, di ba? Okay. Okay. So, chemotherapy, pinapatay yung mga cancer cells mo. At the same time, pinapatay yung mga normal cells mo, di ba? We know that, di ba? Okay. So, after the chemo, pwedeng umulit. Di ba? Because we're not treating the cause. Radiation, ganun din. Radiation, tinatapat yung cancer dun sa X-ray, dun sa radiation, sinusunog, no? Okay, para lumiit, no? So, pag sinerte ka, matanggal masusunog lahat, okay? At matatanggal lahat ng cancer, pero there's still a possibility na uulit, no? Okay? We don't know the exact cause kasi, no? Kaya we never talk about we cannot guarantee cure sa mga cancer patients, no? No doctors would guarantee a cure, no, on that basis, no? Pwedeng umulit, no? Palaging pwedeng umulit, no? Okay. So we can just talk about remission. Remission means walang evidence ng cancer at the moment, no? Okay. But it can recur anytime, no? Okay. Okay. It can, ha? Hindi ibig sabihin it will, ha? It can lang, ha? Hindi tayo sigurado, no? Okay. Okay? So importante yung follow-up ng mga patients, no? If a-follow up ko kayo until you decide not to follow up with me, kung ayaw na ninyo, or I am crippled. Kung na-crippled na ako, hindi ko na kayo, ang papalit sa akin, andyan yung anak ko, ayan, si Ray Benjamin. At least, merong tutulong sa inyo. No? Importante yung follow-up. No? Okay. Now, as to the palpation, wala akong gagawa doon. No? Yung kapa-kapa ng doktor. No? So, kayo naman, palagi ko, wala kayong say, no? Pwede ba din sabihin sa mga doktor, dapat kayong mga doktor, kumakapa kayo. Mahirap sabihin, no? Okay.
Pero pwede na namin. Sasabi ko na ngayon, Doc. Kasi alam ko na dapat ginagawa nila yun.
When you see a doctor, sabihin mo na lang, Doc, pwede ba kapain na lang ninyo? Request na lang ninyo, no? Ang problema, baka di rin siya marunong kumapana. Okay.
Dok, may mga doktor na parang nandidiri pag kumakapa.
Ano?
May mga doktor na parang nandidiri pag kumakapa eh.
Nandidiri?
Yes, nakita ko to sa PGH dati. Yung parang, hindi niya alam kung paano kakapain dahil yung pasyente is talagang mukhang hindi naliligo. Parang dirin-diri siya.
Yeah, meron gano'n, diring-dire, pero as a doctor, you have to do it. Di ba? Kaya as a doctor, you have to do it. No? Either mag-gloves ka, no? Sa ngayon, maraming ng gloves, no? Mag-gloves ka. Kung dati-dati, walang masyadong gloves, kinakapa ko pa rin yung pasyente, kahit yung mga sugat, no? Basta maghuhugas lang ako ng kamay, no? I-alcohol ko lang yung kamay ko, no? Ganon. So, dapat kapain, no? Kahit na ang sugat ay let's say yung cancer na pumutok na, mabaho na, no? Okay. So, at least titingnan, no? Kung ayaw nilang hawakan, no? Pero kung minsan dapat hawakan ng konti, makita kung talagang kaya pang operahan o hindi. Hindi mo masasabi kung hindi mo kakapain eh, di ba? So, basta kasama yung physical exam. When I say physical examination, apat na bagay yon. But usually dalawa lang, no? Inspection, tinitingnan ng doktor, no? Kung anong itsura ng yung pasyente, anong itsura ng bukol, no? Then number 2, palpation, kinakapa, no? Kung gaano katigas, gamit fluid, no? Kung gumagalaw o hindi, no? Maraming information na makukuha doon eh, no? So, yan ang ano. Iba naman, they use part of physical examination, ginagamit yung stethoscope, no? Auscultation, no? Okay? Yan ang pinaka-common. The other type of examination, physical examination, yung pinepercuss, no? Titingnan kung may tubig o kaya may hangin, gano'n, no? Percussion. Okay? Another method of physical examination, yung inaamoy. Pag meron kang fluid na makita, aamoyin mo, kung sa malalaman mo kung ito ibaho ba ng ng isang klaseng bacteria, gano'n, no? May mga diagnosis yan, hindi naman mabibigay ng mga diagnosis sa mga lab test yan eh. Yung amoy, di ba? Okay. Gano'n. Okay, so importante yung kapa pa rin, na. So kung yung doktor hindi kumakapa, di sabihin na lang nila, Doc, pakikapa na lang kung pwede, no? Ganon. Okay. Okay. Any more? So Abet, anong comment mo?
Maingay dito sa lugar ko. I'm sorry.
Yung akin. Okay. Kung wala nang tanong, we'll call it a day. It's 3:15. No? So,
Dok, may lang akong konting tanong.
sige, may tanong ka?
Dok, meron po bang gano'n na which one po is more dangerous, yung ibabaw ng dede o yung ilalim ng dede? Meron bang ganong case?
Kung
Pag nagkaroon ng bukol?
Kung mababaw?
Hindi ba, ibabaw? Yung malapit po sa sa nipple o yung sa ilalim?
Ang tanong mo kung delikado, ano?
Opo, ano po ba yung mas delikado o pareho lang yung dahil part din ng dede?
Delikado. Delikado in what sense?
Yung mas kailangan talaga yung consistent na monitoring dahil nasa ibabaw siya o nasa ilalim yung yung bukol.
Okay, let's put it this way na lang. Okay. Number 1, depende dun sa, sabihin natin cancer na lang ha. Let's just stick cancer. Kung ano yung mas maganda, mababaw, sa ilalim, no? Kung mababaw, no, nasa nipple, areola, mas madali makita, di ba? Mas madali ma-diagnose. No? Compared to doon sa malalim na hindi natin nakikita, na? Okay, at
Hindi
least
po, I mean ilalim po, ilalim nung dede. Pag di ba pag nag-BBS ka po pati ilalim hinahawakan.
oo. So ilalim ng dede, yung iba naman
Opo.
when say ibabaw, pwede din sa yung balat na
Opo.
may tama na yung balat, di ba? Ganon.
Opo.
Kasi mayroong mga tinatawag na Paget's disease na cancer sa nipple, no? So maliit pa lang, mahuhuli mo na kasi kitang-kita eh, no? Nagpapakita na, no?
Opo.
Like yung mga cancer na nasa ilalim ng balat, nasa loob, mahirap kapain, di ba? Mas mahirap, no? Ganon. So, pero in terms of kung yung cancer na sa ibabaw at pinabayaan mo, naging 4 centimeters, 5 centimeters, no? Masama rin siya, no? Okay, compared to yung cancer na sa ilalim, pero let's say 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters at pinagamot mo na kagad, okay naman yon, di ba? So maganda yung result sa outcome, no? Okay.
Opo.
It all depends, no?
Opo. Thank you po, Doc.
It all depends on the type of cancer. Kung minsan may mga cancer na mabilis, no? Okay. Aggressive, no? Okay.
Thank you po, Doc.
Welcome. So, any more? Last call? Kung wala na, we'll call it a day. We'll see each other again next week. no? Ang most likely, ang topic is thyroid. Baka i-alternate ko, thyroid breast na lang. Ha? Muna. Na? Okay?
Yes po, Doc.
Okay. Sige.
Thank you,
Thank
Doc.
you, Doc.
Happy
Thank you, Doc.
weekend,
Have a nice
Doc.
weekend po. Thank you po again.
Thank you po, Doc.
Thank you po, Doc.
Thank you, Doc. Happy weekend.
Happy weekend also.